Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. We have recently witnessed a spate of attacks against Hindus in Bangladesh who are practicing their religion in peace. Over the last few months, countless temples have been desecrated, idols defaced, houses vandalized, devotees assaulted. These atrocities against Hindus in Bangladesh are a cause of deep concern. However, rather than tangible action being taken to curb the attacks, the Bangladeshi authorities are turning a blind eye. That is not all, though. The world too is silent. There is a lack of global attention being given to the plight of Hindus in Bangladesh. And as the situation becomes dire day by day, it's becoming glaringly obvious that now is the time to speak up. On that note, we're now being joined by a host of Hindu leaders from across the world to discuss this matter of grave concern in further detail. Joining us now live is Pandit Satish K. Sharma, Director, Global Hindu Federation. He's joining us live from London in the United Kingdom. Welcome. Thank you very much for being with us today, Pandit Sharma. Now, Pandit Satish Sharma, I want to start out by asking you about what you make of this recent shocking incident where Chinmoy Krishnadas of ISKCON was arrested by Bangladesh and he's being continuously detained there despite no concrete case against him.
Jai Shri Ram, Namaskar, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to your Darshakas. The situation in Bangladesh is deteriorating minute by minute. I don't think it's the word genocide is relevant when there is an intention to erase one particular identifiable group. And since Muhammad Yunus released the terrorists who were in captivity, I think what we're seeing today was entirely predictable as a consequence. The expectation that civilized people have that barbarians will follow law and order, I think that expectation now needs to be abandoned in its entirety. I hear continuously shock and surprise, event after event, that, oh my goodness, this has happened, this is terrible. But we should expect the worst. They have declared their intentions. We have seen the mobs on the streets of Dhaka and in Bangladesh openly announcing their intention to commit genocide on Hindus because they are Hindus. And if our civilizational state, the Bharatiya government, is too slow to recognize its obligation, then I really do worry as to whether anybody else will. You know, we have seen that the United Nations has been silent. Where are the demands for a peacekeeping force? Where is the demand for a humanitarian corridor in the north of the country where Hindus, the indigenous people of Bangladesh, the ones who have been there for many, many millennia, where they can take refuge? Absolutely silent. The last point I'd just like to quickly introduce is, I think every Sanatani should now take this opportunity, a belated opportunity, to understand who their friends truly are. All of those human rights organizations which claim some sort of moral authority, they have gone silent at this moment in time, and their hypocrisy is revealed. Never should we ever allow ourselves to be diminished or humiliated by any of these organizations. They have lost the moral high ground completely. And I hope that we see this as a sea change. People who are silent at this moment in time whilst our Hindu civilization is under attack, they have absolutely no right anymore to speak on any aspect of what is going on in Bharat and what Hindus need to do to defend themselves.
Yes. Pandit Satish Sharma, though, what about the world at large? Why is the world silent on what is happening in Bangladesh? Why are global leaders quiet? That is also something that has been very disappointing, hasn't it?
Well, I've spoken about this particular issue, which is very important, and thank you for raising it. And that is that in the outside world, the world outside of Bharat, it's largely been molded by societies and civilizations which are adversarial in nature. They believe in fighting with each other and then establishing dominance and establishing what is right on the basis of adversarial engagement. Whereas our tradition has always been the dharmic tradition, which is collaborative. We believe in working together to use intellect and compassion to come to a solution which is a wiser solution. So when we look at the United Nations, when we look at the European Union, when we even look at the British Parliament, we have expectations from them, which is a dharmic expectation. But unless we are engaged in those, they are literally Kurukshetras, Unless we are engaged in every corner of the Kurukshetra, fighting, arguing, debating, demanding, advocating for our interests, these organizations outside of Bharat, and many of them sadly within Bharat, they pay no attention to us. It's the most important thing that we have to do as a civilization, as a dharmic civilization, not as the Indian state. The Indian state, I think, has its own handcuffs, but as a dharmic civilization, we have to understand we need to engage in the most robust advocacy, the most robust lobbying in all of these fora in order to get our voice across. Otherwise, there is deathly silence, and we can expect no support, no sanctions, no offer of military aid or anything like that at all from any of these organizations.
Yes. Also very quickly, Pandit Satish Sharma, now as far as this particular arrest is concerned, we also learned that 2 more Hindu monks have been arrested simply for attempting to meet Chinmoy Krishnadas in jail. What is the Bangladeshi state trying to convey, and which way is the situation headed in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the writing is clear on the wall as to what this Bangladeshi interim government actually believes. We have had minority, peaceful monks and religious practitioners imprisoned, but how many of the people on the streets who were demanding death to Hindus, who were demanding that their homes be burnt, and who have been guilty of destroying temples and vigrahas being desecrated, how many of those have been imprisoned? We hear absolutely nothing at all. And I think that dichotomy, that difference between the two, trumpets to us that either the state is impotent or it has absolutely no intention of protecting its most vulnerable, its most tranquil, and its most indigenous minority.
Right. Thank you very much, Pandit Satish Sharma, for joining us on NewsX with your perspective on this big story. Let me quickly rope in now Vilwanathan Krishnamurthy, Executive Committee member, Sri Ganesh Hindu Temple. He's joining us live from Berlin in Germany. Welcome. Thank you very much for being with us. Mr. Krishnamurthy, let me begin by asking you about what you make of this latest instance of provocation from Bangladesh, its latest shocker, the arrest of Chinmoy Krishnadas of ISKCON.
It is very tragedy to know about that one. Now, today I heard about that this one journalist, Hindu journalist, has been arrested by the police and integrated. And it is very hard to understand why the European countries is not speaking about this one. It's very, very unacceptable that something happening. So, other word, they are raising their voice, but in what is happening in Bangladesh, nobody is interested to raise their voice. And it is really unacceptable. And the Bangladesh has created with our Indian army sacrifice. They don't know what is happened at the time. Now, at least now the government should take care of the Hindus, minority people who are living there. That is my opinion.
Yes. Mr. Krishnamurthy, what would you urge the Indian government to do now?
So they might go a little bit harsh. Means not going war and anything, but they must go to the UNO and tell what is happening in the Bangladesh to get some remedy which will be protected the Hindus in Bangladesh, minority people who are living there. And we are giving shelter to the lot of people who are coming all over the world, but our own people is not getting any shelter in the Bangladesh. It is unhappy to hear one, and at least the Indian government go a little bit harder than smoother way to speak with them. Say, see, we want to protect our own people anywhere in the world. If something happens, we are there. So that should be there from the Indian government.
Okay. Let me in fact also ask you then, Mr. Krishnamurthy, about the global silence on this as well. Does that shock you, or is it unsurprising? World leaders are not condemning this. Global organizations are not speaking up about what is happening in Bangladesh.
Really, sir, that is true. That is really shocking. But we are planning in Germany, in the middle of the Berlin, to go to the Bangladesh embassy to give a memorandum that what is happening is unacceptable for us as an Hindu community living in Germany, and we are planning to make a procession to bring a memorandum to the Bangladesh embassy and say that they must take care, at least our people who are living there in the Bangladesh, for their lives and their lively things should not be damaged.
What is triggered this in the first place? This systematic attacks on Hindu temples, desecration of our idols, threats and assault of minority Hindus in Bangladesh. What do you believe has been the reason behind all of this?
So it's a political agenda. It's a political agenda. I think nowadays they are getting from outside sources the support which they can damage the Hindu, believeness. So if you see that they have damaged lingam and other deities which has been erected in Bangladesh, it is too hard to know, but we never heard about that, all those things in Bangladesh before. Nowadays, they are bringing some political agenda behind that. I hope that it will be from the foreign countries also been supported for that one.
Okay. Also, as far as you're concerned, these latest incidents again of further Hindu arrests as well, Hindu monks being arrested simply for going to jail. Does this show, going to visit Krishna Das in jail, does this show then that there is a certain amount of brazenness there as well? They're doing it, realizing that it's wrong, but they're still doing it.
That is true, sir. One of the member of parliament heard the news that he is defending that what is happening in Bangladesh. I can't understand it because he is a elected body from the government. People should also protect the minority in Bangladesh, but they are not interested about that to speak about that. Even other countries are not speaking about, but India should go a little bit further, harder to protect our Hindu people who are living alone the world.
Yes. Where do you see things headed in the next few weeks and days?
It should be a diplomatic meeting, should be there. Diplomatical instance should be taken, should be care, and they must go to the UNO Charter for humanity and religious minority to protect the minority in the countries. They must go directly in the diplomatic way. If diplomatic fails, means we must do a little bit harder instance to protect our Hindu people in the Bangladesh.
What is leading to the targeting of ISKCON and ISKCON connected priests as well?
They are trying, sir. They are trying now. They are not going directly to the Hindu Mandir, but they are trying to go to ISKCON. Let me see what is happening if we arrest the ISKCON, our Honorable Sharma, and what the reaction will be there in India. They are looking for something to do more. Now they are just pick up one ISKCON because ISKCON is not so well in India been recognized as in Hindu Mandir. So they are trying to get somewhat what will be happening if we arrest ISKCON, the chairpersons, so that what will be the next position will be there. They are trying to going with another way to go hard about Hindu minority in Bangladesh. I hope so. That's all.
Do you have any faith in the Mohammed Yunus government anymore?
No, sir. For the moment which the government is there, I hope that there will be no protections to us in the form of government support, but only our government should take care of more rather than the Bangladeshi government. I won't believe, sir.
All right, Vilwanathan Krishnamurthy, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on this big story. Let me join now Rajendra Pandey, President VHP Australia, onto the broadcast. He's joining us live from Adelaide in Australia. Rajendra Pandey, thank you for speaking with us today. What do you make of the arrest of Chinmoy Krishna Das in Bangladesh?
Yes, namaste, and thank you for giving us a spot and hearing our voice in this particular scenario wherein we can see the voices have been oppressed for, it's a multiple telecast. I think it's a repeat telecast of what has happened. Every year the same instance happens. It is not a new story. And what hurts me that it just repeats itself. And every time we are sick and tired of having protests and peaceful marches in Australia to express our sympathies with the Hindus and specifically ISKCON in Bangladesh. And I just can't. It belies any fact that how can they get away by doing this? And I think there is a historical reason that we all know, but more importantly, there is an ingrained hatred towards Hindus in Bangladesh And the government has time and again, we have seen the previous government, the current government, the government machinery has failed to protect Hindus in Bangladesh. And this is, not only in Bangladesh, this is a repeat telecast of what happens in Canada, in USA, in Australia, in Adelaide, in Melbourne in January 2023, the ISKCON temple was attacked by Khalistani. So this is not a new phenomenon, and we just keep talking about this and with little or no action from whether the Bangladesh government or any international body. There are other places wherein people are killed and they're dying, whether it's Syria, Gaza, Ukraine, and there is a lot of voices, but when Hindus die, there is no pain, no remorse, or not even a fake tear by any government or a world body.
Does that shock you, the fact that there is global silence on the atrocities that the Hindu community is facing, that there is no condemnation from world leaders or from world organizations on this very pressing problem?
Unfortunately, the answer is no, and you would hopefully agree with me that this lack of any reaction by these governments or the world body is not new. We anticipated, we expected. In fact, we are okay with that. We get along with it. There is so less media coverage. So I would really like to congratulate your media channel for covering it. How many media channels are actually trying to talk about this? None at all, at least not in Australia. If one person, again, I'm not comparing lives, one fake incident is reported and it just goes into the first page of Sydney Morning Herald or the mainstream SBS, the government media broadcaster, which is supposed to be independent, like Australian Broadcasting Corporation, whether it's ABC in Australia or in America, none of them cover these atrocities that are committed, and even freedom of press and arrest of a journalist. Can you imagine, in any part of the world, thank goodness we live in those times wherein media is free, but in Bangladesh it happens, and it happens without any reaction from anyone. So I think I'm appalled, but we expect government to do nothing, and that is why it is important for us to take action. In fact, from our own Vishwa Hindu Parishad community, we have been talking about taking our own delegation and observer group to Bangladesh to monitor and report and observe and report on the atrocities. We are creating and collating details of violences that have been committed in an Excel spreadsheet of how many people died, what has happened to them, and trying to document that genocide, I would say, because I would not expect the government to do anything. And I think I'm not a political commentator. I'll leave it to those people who are expert in that about why it is happening. But as a social organization, as a community organization, we do believe that we all, including media and us, we all have a responsibility to take some action because others will not report on it.
What action do you believe the Indian government should take? What are your expectations from the Indian government on this matter?
I think again, I would be very careful about putting any burden on Indian government, because again, this is diplomacy, and India has a lot of stake into Bangladesh, and it's again riddled with cross connections. So, for example, the aid to the the Adani power projects and the support that we give to Bangladesh government is supposed to help. Just what we're doing in Nepal as well. There are a lot of strategic outcomes of everything that we do in Bangladesh. So, however, now the time has come that Indian government has to do something about the aid and support that we provide to Bangladesh should be withdrawn, or at least threatened to be withdrawn. India does have some levers, unlike other countries or even Australia, that India can pull to make sure that we do keep the government accountable, no matter which government that is. The human rights monitoring, India does have the ability of putting diplomatic pressure. Thanks to Modi government, they have a lot of good relations with every country almost, and I don't see why we cannot put pressure into the new Trump administration to engage with Bangladeshi authorities at the highest levels, to ensure accountability and protect the minority rights. But sanctions is one big thing. The last thing I would say is, which we even talk in Australia about the human rights and the asylum and refugee policies. So Australia again is a proud recipient of a lot of human rights refugees who are fleeing from whether they're Myanmar or Ukraine or Syria. Why can't we extend that to Bangladeshi Hindus? And we have heard about the progress, the law that has been passed to accept Hindus from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, but we haven't seen anything on the ground. Again, I'm far removed, so I would be very careful of saying that nothing is happening. But we don't see that from what my connections in India tell me, that we don't have much traction and application of those policies. But even I would say, and that countries like India and US and
Yes.
Australia and Canada, we all should be accepting refugees and support to those who are facing religious persecution in Bangladesh.
Finally, where do you see things going in the next few weeks and days?
Unfortunately, again, as I said, it will go. My worry is it will get worse. I cited to you an example that where the ISKCON temple was attacked in Australia. So what I have seen in the past is these events are a precursor to what happens across the world. When a temple is vandalized or a priest is attacked, that violence actually spreads. So the first recipient of that hatred is West Bengal or the states in India. And you've seen that. Again, I don't have to tell you, but we also in Australia face the ripple effect of the attacks on Hindus. But it will get worse. The social media, misinformation, disinformation, the political rallies turning into targeted attacks. All those things my worry is it will get worse. The government is not, we cannot see any evidence of government interfering or doing or taking any action to stop what is happening. And if the government does not act, there is no way things can get better. So we have to brace ourselves and prepare ourselves to make sure that we are prepared to see to support those Hindus who will unfortunately be on the burning end of the
Okay,
issue.
let me quickly thank you there then, Rajendra Pandey, for joining us with your perspective on this big story. Let's quickly join now Dr. Alok Srivastava, Executive Director, American Hindu Coalition. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. Let me begin by asking you about what you make of Chinmoy Krishnadas's arrest. Does it shock you? Does it surprise you? Or do you believe it's something that was bound to happen looking at how things were in the last few days?
No, definitely I was not thinking that this is bound to happen, because Swami Chinmay has not done anything very drastic. All he said, he raised a Bhagwa flag, and the charges against his sedition, that he insulted the Bangladeshi flag, and I have not found any evidence or I searched that he insulted the Bangladeshi flag. All he did was to raise the Bhagwa flag. So there is no case against him, and these kind of demonstrations happen. The country should be tolerant to that. During the July protest all over the world, they said, there should be freedom of speech, and there will be tolerance for this thing, So I am very surprised where those people are gone, why they are not raising anything now that they have a freedom of speech and all that, So definitely it's a very unfortunate thing, and this needs to be done very diplomatically.
Okay. Let me in fact quickly ask you though, Dr. Alok Srivastava, about now the world's silence on this issue. Why are more global leaders not speaking up on what is transpiring in Bangladesh?
Because the media, they have very successfully portrayed that this is not that serious, and especially I can talk about the US. There is a transition in government, and the Biden administration is known to be very pro-Muslim, so they don't want to touch anything right now. Now everything is focused on the Trump administration, how they will react. Interestingly, Tulsi Gabbard, who is a Hindu leader, is a Hindu practitioner, he is the new director of the National Security Agency, and she openly said about the Hindus in Bangladesh and all that, So there will be shift in that, and once that new administration will be active, there will be changes at least in America. But the other way, for example, I live in a suburb of Washington, D.C., and we have a Virginia Senator, Saddam Salim, who is of Bangladeshi origin, and he's in the core group with the Foreign Ministry to advise on the Bangladesh matter. I talked to him, and he said, no, this is not that serious. This just to too much they have expanded that, is a small thing and all that. So they are very successful in telling to the media and to the foreign ministry over here, this is not a serious matter. These thing happens. So that's why there is not so much response from the US media and all that. But the US Hindu group should be active. It's not just about the Hinduism, about the religious freedom all over the world. And there should be, I'm expecting people are busy over here in Christmas and holiday season. So, and this matter has not got that much exposure all over the world. When it will come into the attention, definitely there will be reaction from all over the world.
All right. Let me also ask you then, Dr. Srivastava, about, the manner in which this arrest has happened. A frivolous charge, of course, for Chinmoy Krishnadas. Then you have two other, individuals, two other Hindu, monks there connected with ISKCON, went to meet him. They've also been arrested.
Yeah, so this is a pure violation of the human rights, and there should be pressure on the Muhammad Yunus. Muhammad Yunus is just a puppet, and he's in the hands of the military and the foreign government. So the world needs to approach those countries like China and Pakistan and India and US also, that to take this matter seriously. And the other way, this is a very crucial time in Bangladesh, and those fanatics over there, they heard about the Ram Janmabhoomi and all that, so they think this is the time opportunity to get even with that, so that also played in the background. And so I believe that this should be done very diplomatically, and there should be human rights group. They should pressure that he should be released and should not be in the prison. Maybe he stay in that temple where he is, because unfortunately ISKCON also disowned him, and that's very unfortunate. And ISKCON is actually formed by Swami Prabhudas, who was he's a Bengali, and Chinmay and the Swami Chaitanya was also Bengali. There's a lot of Bengali influence. ISKCON is actually a foundation by Bengali, the very crucial presence in the Bangladesh, and unfortunately they disowned the Chinmay Swamiji. So he should be taken back, and he should lead that thing peacefully and not to provoke anything if he did anything to insult the Bangladeshi flag. And they should be done very diplomatically, because India wants Sheikh Hasina to return to Bangladesh, and the solution to this problem is actually the fair election. So there should not be any caretaker government controlled by the military. That's the long term, I think. But he should definitely be released, and it should not be violation of this human rights.
What would be your appeal to the Indian government?
I'm pretty sure Indian government is doing their best diplomatically, because India has a lot of influence. The entire country is surrounded by India. I'm very surprised how this thing happened, where this Indian intelligence was sleeping. They should have seen the undercurrent on that and deal it, but we cannot go back. And it should be dealt with diplomatically. There should not be any military solution or anything, and not any economic sanctions or anything. Let's work with that government and resolve this thing. I was very surprised that when PM Modi visited Bangladesh, the temple he inaugurated, even that has been vandalized, the jewelry has been stolen, so if they have not left those important milestones, those icons, then how the situation over there is. But let's remain calm and deal with this diplomatically.
Where do you see things headed in the next few days and weeks?
Next few days is just, first thing is to pressure to release him and solve it diplomatically. From US perspective, from my side, everybody is busy in Christmas and holiday and the administration transmission and transition. So when the Trump administration will come, definitely they have a very close relationship with the Modi ji and all. So there will be some pressure on Bangladesh, because no matter what happened, Muhammad Yunus is a creation of US, and he's very close tie with the US. Even the military over there. So there will be definitely some pressure when the Trump will come, will take place. But in future is just to develop the awareness about this problem worldwide. That's all Hindus can do, and get the release of that, and make sure that there is no such incidents happen again in Bangladesh.
Yes, Dr. Srivastava, also, what do you believe has triggered this violence in the first place? These attacks on Hindu temples, attacks on Hindus in the country, and desecration as well. What do you believe has caused this? What was the reason behind this?
The reason is because the Islamic fundamentalists and fanatics, they have the demonstration and those things, and they have to remain active, otherwise we'll slow down and they will not win the election next time, so they have to do something. And unfortunately they found this Swamiji's act to something to start with. And also in their back mind, as they say, the Ram Janmabhoomi and those things, Babri Domarish and all that. Then they got the guidance from ISI and the other Muslim fanatics. So this is a culmination of those things that started. And but this should be dealt very diplomatically right now.
Okay. Dr. Srivastava, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on that big story. Let's quickly now get in. Sushil Kumar is Saraf as well, President VHP Thailand. He's joining us live from Bangkok in Thailand. Sushil, Saraf, thank you very much for being with us today. Let me begin by asking you about this arrest of Chinmoy Krishnadas. What do you make of it?
Namaste to everyone. See, I see the other side of this arrest because the ISKCON and Chinmoy Das is a symbol for Hindus and Hindu Dharma. And everybody was behind, him. So they want to destroy our Hindu Dharma symbol. So this is what I see, and we are like very liberal Hindu civilization and Hindu Dharma. So we don't go back to the history. The existence of Bangladesh is solely depend on Bharat in 1971. And that time, 27% of Hindus are there. And now what is the Hindus population is 8%. That time the biggest genocide happened in the world, but nobody speaks about it. So we are always take it easy, and we don't see any, and Hindus don't make any reaction, and they go on just simply and say, okay, Bhagwan Bharse hota hai, sabka takdeer hai. So that was happening, and then nothing happens. So this is what they are trying to do today. Whatever one by one says history of 50 years, still nothing is changing.
Yes. Sushil, Saraf, as far as, of course, now the Indian government is concerned, what would be your appeal to them? What further can India do, and how satisfied are you with our response so far?
The India government is responding, and I don't know what is their, diplomatic issues and whatever, but what we have to show in the world that the India or Bharat will support Hindus or Hindus all over the world. If they have any atrocities against them, there will be some repercussions. Until unless that happens, things will happen, and we speak to human rights, or you speak to UN, or you speak to government. I don't think it will too much pressure until unless our Bharat government will come out with very strong decisions and to do something for the Hindus. Because you have to understand one more thing: there is only one country in the whole world where Hindus can go. Bharat. They have no other countries. So other religions have so many countries to go anywhere. But we, as a Hindu civilization, Hindu Dharma, we have only one country, Bharat. So Bharat has to take the strongest steps to see that it doesn't happen in the future, these kind of things. Because we are helping them all the time, all the time we are helping Bangladesh, and still these things happen. So government should take really strong message to Bangladesh government.
Also, the global silence on the issue, what do you make of that? Why are not world leaders speaking up more about what is transpiring in Bangladesh? Why are organizations silent as well?
What I see is now, most of the media and government is not looking after what is right and what is wrong. They look their interest and political interest or their country's interest where they get profit. So this is one of the reasons that people don't speak about freely and strongly. Although you can see we have other countries in the Middle East, we can see the examples, what is happening there, and how the country is, responding. So you can see, I don't have to speak there, but you can see what is happening there. So we have to be very strong to protect our Hindu people all over the world, and even this, and the Bangladesh is very surrounded by Bharat, which is much easier to handle than, something outside, far away.
Yes. Also, Sushil, Saraf, as far as, of course, the pattern as well. First, Chinmoy Krishnadas was arrested. Now we have 2 more Hindu monks targeted. They've also been arrested. Very flimsy excuses are being given. Do you believe there's a pattern to it?
Yeah, so the pattern is there because there is no reaction, of the Hindu society. We just see, like we did in Thailand, we went to the Bangladesh embassy and protested. We had, we have all around, we have given them everything. But what happened? Did anything happen? No, nothing. They just say, okay, we'll try to see, then things are getting better. And, but in reality, it's nothing happening better. It's getting worse. So it will be going worse and worse until the government has the power to curtail or to respond. This is the way I see. And you can see that in Bangladesh, Hindu society is getting together, and our Mr. Yogiji's and Modiji's that nara that batenge to katenge and ek rahenge to safe rahenge. We have to do all over the world now. That not only is liable for India or Bharat, it is all over the world. So we have to be united everywhere, and government, agency has to be supportive of us to protect our interest.
Yes. What do you believe was the reason behind all of this happening in the first place? These attacks on Hindu temples, desecration of idols, persecution of the minorities, their threats as well being issued. What was the trigger? What caused it?
So most of the trigger is like what I believe, that they want to demoralize all the Hindus there, So this is what I see. The other way, this is happening more and more. Otherwise, he is a very good leader and very good monk and sadhu of the ISKCON. And you can see that when the ISKCON disowning, why? Because the fear inside the people in Bangladesh, that if they support him, what will happen to them or their organization. So that fear, we have to come out of that, and we have to take really support them and support them. Then thing will change. Otherwise, we'll be cutting and butting, we're butting and cutting. This will happening to happen, because this is the history of. You can see now in Afghanistan, there is no Hindus left, no Sanatan Dharmis left. So this is slowly, Bali, we are retreating, because we say Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, but this is half of the fish. So we have to see that we have to change a little bit our views, and we have to really fought. We have a lot of, that's why I'm saying that we see our all histories. If we don't fight back, we will have gone. You can see the Parsi is now total, which contained 50 years, 100 years, they changed totally. This is what we are in Bharat. We are fighting all the time. That's why we still remain Hindu Dharma and Hindu civilization. Otherwise, it has gone already. And this is what they are trying to do that, because for Bangladesh to come, Bharat is much easier, and they want to have to disturb Bangladesh, and then so they can disturb our Bharat also.
Okay, where do you see things headed, Sushil Kumar Saraf, in the next few days and weeks?
In few days, I don't see anything. Looks like no improvement at the moment, and I don't. In 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe if there is election change and the real election is happen and things are changing, and then Trump government is coming in, so maybe things will change.
Okay, well, let's leave it at that. Sushil Kumar Saraf, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on this big story. Let's also quickly join now Yogeshwar, Neelkanth, Dookaran, Acharya, Surya Shiv Mandir, who's live with us from Mauritius, in fact. Welcome. Thank you very much for being with us today. What do you make, Yogeshwarji, of what has transpired with Chinmoy Krishnadas's arrest?
Namaste ji. So it's been very shocking, even for Mauritian Hindus in Mauritius, that we've seen in the past years that there were attacks on Durga Utsav, Durga Mata celebration, and now with ISKCON. So it is something that we should think, Hindus all around the world, we should think that if we are not rooted to our culture, if we're not rooted to our dharma, if we don't teach our children the right teachings of our dharma, we will all end up just like Swamiji. So it makes us reflect about what will be our future in the next 50 to 60 years throughout the world. And this has not happened only in Bangladesh, this has happened in Pakistan, this has happened in all other countries. And we all know the agenda of these people, these kind of persons, who they are, what is their agenda, and how they proceed. First of all, they try to get into your house, then they try to eliminate your culture. So this is what is happening when the Hindus in Bangladesh became less than 10%. This is how now they want to threaten, they want to make Hindus in Bangladesh live in fear. They want them to clearly abandon their culture. They want them to clearly stop worshipping, stop following Sanatana Dharma.
Yes, and there's a pattern to it as well, because Chinmay Krishnadas was arrested. Then you have 2 more Hindu monks also picked up, again on flimsy charges. So there's a pattern to it.
Yes, it is definitely a pattern, because we see, even in Bharat, we see when Bharat was being invaded by Mughals, the first thing that they destroyed was our temples, was the Nalanda libraries, the biggest library that we had. So there is a pattern that their teachings teach them. They just show that they are peace-loving and all, but the teachings show them, if you want to uproot a culture, if you want to destroy someone, get to the root. When you want to destroy a tree, you just dig it out and just kill the roots. So the root are the priests, the acharyajis, the swamijis, those who preach, those who are like teaching the dharma, those who are teaching the teaching given by our gods, our Vedas. So this is what they intended to do by abducting the monks, by arresting them, putting them into jail, making the people fear. If this happened to your monks, then what can happen to you?
Okay. Also, now, Yogeshwar, Neelkanth, Dookaran, I have to ask you about what you believe triggered it in the first place. What was the reason behind this violence breaking out against Hindu community there, the persecution of the minorities, the desecration of idols, the attacks on the temples that we've seen in the last few weeks in Bangladesh? What was the reason for it all in the first place?
First of all, like I said, like we saw in the past with Bharat itself, when the Mughal invaders came to Bharat, they wanted to rule the whole country for themselves. They didn't wanted anyone else. So the thing is, the same mindset applied to Bangladesh. The majority ruler, they want that there is no minority. And also their books state that there should be no other religion apart from their own religion. So this is where it triggered out. Their teaching teaches them that you should destroy, you should kill in the name of God, you should eliminate, you should convert. This is what is triggered out in Bangladesh. They are always like that. They are first like a little, even we can see around the world, they start by a little group. They say, okay, we are little, we're just a minority, give us a small space. They claim, they cry. And then start little by little, when they become literally majority, and they say, oh, we don't get that, we don't get this, we don't get priority, we are minorities. And then we can see in Paris, what happened in Paris. Paris is initially a European country. It was ruled by French-originated people. And then what happened? Suddenly, a journalist started to talk and they killed him. So what is that? Their teaching is a problem. Their own teachings, their own books shows them. It is not like us, we say, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Our book says, our Vedas say that we are a practitioner of Sanatana Dharma. We practice peace. That we should not, if someone is praying something else, even if someone is living Sanatana Dharma, we don't go and we don't stone them, we don't kill them, we don't. But contrary, if someone leave the other culture and start to practice Sanatan Dharma, they will be persecuted. They will be asked why. So I feel that we should, Hindus all around the world, we should start to be more rooted. We should not, just like Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, we should not just listen to that. We should listen to the whole verse. We should listen to what Sri Krishna said. Even if your own people is trying to kill you, you should pick up Ashtra Sastra. We should now defend ourselves wherever we are in the world. We should definitely, if the only way to defend us is Himsa, I would say that we should practice Himsa now.
Well, I don't know if advocating violence is appropriate on national television, so I would ask you to urge caution in your statements. Of course, yes, self-defense is needed, but I think advocating violence should not be made on national television. So I'll just caution you there. But Yogeshwar, Neelkanth, Dookaran, coming back now on the world leaders, why global silence is there on this issue? Why are world leaders not speaking up on the violence against the Hindu community in Bangladesh? Also, organizations, globally are silent on this.
I would say that global leaders don't have any political capital to gain from the Hindu minorities in Bangladesh. If there would be any political gain that they could get, then they would definitely talk about it. I feel that the Hindus of Bangladesh has been abandoned because the world leaders are staying quiet, and maybe also just like earlier Dr. Ji said, that the Bangladesh consulate is playing a very big role in this thing that make government shut down, make government stay quiet. Because we also in Mauritius, we wrote letters, we went to meet the Bangladesh ambassador, and then they were saying, no, it's not that, it's not this, the media is exaggerating. Even here also the media is not talking about it because they feel that the Bangladesh embassy has said that everything is under control, everything is fine. And we have been, as Hindu organization, we have many Hindu organizations here also. We wrote letters to government. We wrote letters just recently in this week itself. We wrote letters to the government asking them to stop the imports of Bangladeshi workers to Mauritius. Let us just stop it because we don't want people where the human rights are not being respected, where the rights of minorities are not being respected. It's not only about Hindus also. We clearly said that, but now we will see what the government here will do. In the past, last year or last 2 years, the previous government has imposed a ban on the incoming of Bangladeshi workers. So yes, it was a good thing.
And what would be your appeal to the Indian government as well?
Yeah, I would suggest that there's an appeal to the Indian government that if they are doing this to our Hindu brothers over there, I would just say, just stop supporting them in whatever economic way, just cut them off. If you cut them off, they will be forced to take actions against that. Then they will see that who else will protect them? Who else will help them? And it's been since before their independence, India has been the biggest supporter of Bangladesh. And I would say that drastic measures should be taken by the Indian government to cut off all the support, to cut off all the supplies that are being sent to Bangladesh, and then we see.
All right. Yogeshwar, Neelkanth, Dookaran, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on this big story. On that note, we are going to slip into a very short break.